Midnight Hour radio show with your host, Myron Gray, discussing Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor, let's read her story. The information that I was given while searching the news was that Breonna Taylor was a young medical student that actually died by the hands of a police gunfire. I don't know the specific facts, but I'm going to state what was printed in USA Today and other newspapers around the nation. On March 13, 2020, Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old African-American woman, was fatally shot by Louisville Metro Police Department officers. That's on March 13, 2020. Breonna Taylor was fatally shot by Louisville Metro Police Department LMPD officers. Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly, Detective Brett Hank, his son, and Detective Miles Cosgrove entered her apartment and on a no-knock warrant, and came under gunfire under Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, who was, I believe his name was Kenneth Walker, and the 3 LMPD officers returned fire. Taylor was shot 8 times dead, and Mattingly was injured by gunfire. So, based on that story, Melissa, what do you think about it?
I think there's a lot of wrongdoing in this. I'm not a fan of no-knock orders to start with, because a lot of people do go to sleep at certain hours of the day or night. And if you're sleeping, you're not going to hear someone pretty much break in your house to serve you a warrant. You're just going to react.
Right, I agree with that.
At the same time, why weren't the officers have their body cams on? That's what they're for, right? You're supposed to have them. My understanding is police officers have the body cams so they can have accountability for anything from no-knock warrants to stopping a car on the side of the street. Why weren't they on?
Right.
They had them.
What? Right. That makes a lot of sense. Why didn't they identify themselves as police officers as well? That made no sense at all.
Well, there's conflicting reports on that, and I've been reading up on this because me being where I'm at in Ohio, I never heard of this until you brought it to my attention. So I've had really today, I was reading up on it, and there's conflicting reports. So I'm not saying they did or didn't identify themselves, but if someone's asleep and you're at the door identifying yourself as a police officer, they're not going to hear you unless they're in the next room. We don't have the proof of the body cams to say, yes, they did actually say, hello, open up, please. We don't have that. So we don't know from neighbors because this was an apartment complex, I believe, if I'm reading this right today. So did they or did not know? We don't know. That's up in the air. At the same time, if they already caught the one suspect, why were they doing a no-knock warrant in the middle of the night?
Now, what I heard was that Breonna Taylor used to mess around with the other gentleman. But let me call this other caller, Charlotte, and see what's going on with Charlotte. Because she wants to come in on our conversation as well, Melissa.
Of course. This is a bad connection today.
Charlotte,
hello?
are you there? Charlotte,
good, how are you? I'm there,
I'm
yes.
all right, sir. Where you calling in from, Charlotte?
I'm in Macon, Georgia.
Okay. Well, we got Melissa M.L.Ruscsak on the line, Myron Grace, and now we got Charlotte on the line. So Melissa was saying that no-knock warrants are unfair to people. What is your opinion?
I'm sorry, say that again?
No-knock warrants are not fair to people. What's your opinion of a no-knock warrant? Can you hear me, Charlotte?
Barely.
I said, what's your opinion of a... Is this better? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's better.
What's your opinion of a no-knock warrant? With regard to the police coming into your house without having to knock, or when they just charge into your house.
It's an invasion of privacy, first of all. But also, when you just decide that you're just going to enter in, you don't give the people inside, even if you're at the correct house, an opportunity to address the situation on a calm manner. To me, if they're going to break in your home that way, they're already looking for trouble. It's definitely something that needs to be addressed. But I think the more that we address it as a whole could make a change. But we have to do it right, though.
Exactly. There's a lot of wrong going on right now. And like I was telling Myron, I never heard of this case.
A lot of
from
noise
back
in the background.
But we didn't hear about it because the pandemic was going on in March. That dominated the news waves.
Mhm.
Right. The pandemic kind of quieted things down with regard to the no-knock warrant. Is it possible, Melissa? What's your suggestion on it?
I'm torn on this because there are times when having family involved with enforcement. I know there's times when you go to a suspect's house with a warrant that they're going into a dangerous situation to begin with. So they don't knock because they already know it's a dangerous situation. But at the same time, there was no indications from what I read, and I could be wrong, that this was a dangerous situation to begin with. There's no reason to do a no-knock warrant. There was no reason to come that late at night when people are sleeping.
Well, what would you suggest? What would you suggest as an alternative to a no-knock warrant?
Now, like I said, there are cases when they're needed. There was no indication from what I'm reading. This is 3 months past, and, I'm not an expert on this case because I'm just reading about it. I'm no expert on a case like this, but at the same time, there are cases when you need a no-knock warrant. There was nothing indicated in the news reports where this needed to be done this way. There have been changes, according to a couple of days ago from the New York Times, where they implemented new procedures for no-knock warrants. But at the same time, it's a little too late.
Well, do you think that that's the major reason that Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend was shot by the police? Do you think that if they came in there normal, that the police would have still opened fire on them, or they would have opened fire on the police?
I think, and I'm not familiar with the whole situation, if they would have actually come during a proper hour, not sleeping hours, to deliver a warrant, this could have ended differently.